Hello, the game has started and my opponent has opened with Ronnie's. I have a pretty balanced rack. I have whistle on my rack, and that does play. Pluralizing whistle. Whistler. What about something through the N? I think I'll go with Whistler. I'm not seeing something through the N. Whistler. I draw the J, V, W and Y, so I won't be bingoing. But I should have some scoring opportunities here. I have gin onto the N. Hot spotted 4A across through the S. Jay-Z. 46. No back hooks for Ronnie's. I'm assuming opponent will play in the top row. That's why I haven't really focused on that area. Looking at the N, there might be a 4-timer, but with the clunkiness of this rack, it's unlikely. Opponent taking some time with this move. Jay-Z is a little bit risky because it does give back J plays onto the triple word, and the rack leave pretty ropey as well. What about jive? Jivey. 30. Creating a Z hotspot. Opponent has taken my Jay-Z spot out, and I don't see a way to get any action there. Jivey, is that worth doing? Yeah. Terrible pickup, absolutely awful. This rack is as bad as it can get, I'd say. 3 I's, a U and a W. Wow. Opponent likely to play a 10F down. Hopefully not with the Z. If he doesn't, I guess Y would be marginally better than changing. Look how awful this rack is. if opponent takes the spot, then I'm probably going to change. Waifed is good, W-A-I-F-T, and waif, he does take my spot. So maybe waif here for 25. Slightly better than changing. Still pretty ropey, the rack. Pirogue, not quite. Just looking at possible patterns of words here. Something like up went or something. Up wire. No. The S quite handy for bingos beginning with S, as well as the T to play through. But I'm not quite in bingo territory with this rack, and for some reason I can't shift the letters around manually at the moment. Perhaps something with the trackpad. Not seeing a bingo, but it does look good with the S. Scores are dead level. I'm going to try up wire. No. To wire up and to up wire. No. So I could just play up here. Feels pretty mediocre. There's a nice hot spot here for the O or the Y, playing after OX and then playing through the S. I can't play either of those options. The two I's not terrible with the IER ending, but I'm just hoping not to draw a third one. I'm going with this. I don't draw a third I, but Gloire is good, Gloire. Seraglio is good, but not Seriglio. Lend scores alright. What about this T? Now I do have the O for playing after ox, but nothing looking good there. I have Soilia just to clear the rack out. I have J-O. Can't do it. Get rid of the I's. I really need to get rid of the at least one I here, I feel. What about the W? No, just not seeing it. I'm going with leg. Rack leave, not terrible. Not bad. Mixed feelings. Didn't want the Q, but certainly want the blank. There might be a bingo. Wish I could shuffle the letters. I don't know what's going on with my trackpad. The S looks good, the T looks good with these tiles. The G not so much. Even the E looks alright, this E here. Liquored. Liquored, it should be good. He was liquored up, as in he was drunk. So through a U or a D, no floaters of those, of that type. What about this T? It does look good. And what about the N? No. Okay, opponent does score well there. Roke is good, but I'm not burning a blank for mid-30s. Now, chin doesn't quite work there. Cheese gets rid of the Q, but takes out a useful floater. Maybe just chin here. Am I missing a bingo? Not seeing it. Going with chin. Urodele is a bingo. Urodele. What about the G here? Urodele does play. And I'm wondering about the W. Doesn't look great with these tiles. The G, possibly. What about a bingo beginning with an E? Okay, Urodele does remain available. But what about D Lauser? That'd be safer than Urodele. Ooh, not so safe. It leaves an E right next to this double. D Lauser. What are the other ones? It's got to be another. I'm low on time. De-louser. Hopefully I don't get stung too heavily from H1 down, but there's a distinct possibility I will be punished. Not a good pickup. Okay, that could have been worse. I'm going with bad. What about bad here? Bad for 18. Scores a dead level again. Still a blank to come and the Z. Coda, no. board's getting pretty choked up at this stage. Bog takes an S. Adopts. Maybe just whap the top here. Pretty poor score, but I'm not seeing amazing. I could pluralize delouse and play spat or something, but too many hooks and I don't want to create bingo lanes. 9, pretty weak. I should have really played the D here, wed and id. That would have been better. No bingo again. None that I can see anyway. Four A's and 4 E's to come. I don't mind getting rid of an A. Vowel consonant balance pretty level. Can't play my M here, but the D does play there. Odd. 22. That blank will be decisive, I think, with the scores being so close. Okay, I'm going with odd. Look at that. I drew it and blocked the bingo lane. There is still another bingo lane, so osteoma for a 4-timer. 89, if that remains available. There should be other options from ID beginning with an S or an E. Osteoma comes down. Now draw the Z. That was quite fortunate. Azan is good. Zona. But is there a 5-letter play from L1 down? Not that I can see. No front hooks for nth. The Z, the Z, the Z. Don't want to give my opponent an easy. These are extremely bingo-y, these tiles. He's likely to bingo. 5 in the bag. How to limit what opponent can do. If I play 2 A's here, that does limit the overlap opponent. I mean, opponent can still play beginning with an S or an E here cross, but then he gives back score to me. This does limit scoring potential there. Tricky to do it overlap. I'm going with this. Razor. Zorro onto an O. I was hoping for Ezine, E-Z-I-N-E, but I did not draw the tiles necessary for that. Okay, what has opponent got? I just have to score enough to outrun opponent. Down to 2.5 minutes. What bingo would he have here? If I play Tiz, that would limit what opponent can do because the Z's not going to help him bingo. That's a 22-point play. Blocks the S hook. He can still play an S from there, but I think this is enough to win, even if he does bingo. Can't see a bingo there. Elitist? No. Elitist. That's not quite. Anyway, focus on your own rack. So I've got, just looking at underlaps, nothing. Zona, it's pretty weak. Orzo, I've only got the one O. Okay, opponent's played Alt. Now Zen and NO, but can I play down Zen Zerator? No, Zelator. That's a shame, I can't get much action there. What about Ors? No, can't see anything. I might just go with no there for 18. Not seeing more than 18. And opponent will go out, no doubt. Sight and osteomas. I don't know if osteoma takes an S. Yeah, it does. So final score 363 to 429. Thank my opponent for the game. Let's see what we missed. Did feel very close at the end there. If opponent was to bingo, it would have been just points apart. Ronnie's appears to be the only one there. Now Whistler for 80, Whistle for 82 at 9H. Of course, Whistle under the W, that's a fairly new one, so I often overlook the EW as an option. Yeah, not much in it though. Although, yeah, Whistler a little bit safer underneath and it scored more. Goufed opponent had for, 54 with XI as a rack leave. That's not bad. Opponent went with Ox, Jetway, 38, 5A. Jetway, but giving back at least 30 to opponent, possibly more. So, not crazy about that play, even though it does look like a handsome score. It gives back more often than not 30 to 40 points. So Jivey for 30 seems fine, although it did create that hotspot. Opponent had Fudgy for 26 onto the Y. Wentworth, Ivy. Terrible rack, Tor Iwi, of course. That's a great way to get rid of two eyes. Tor Iwi, I would have played that if I spotted it, even though it was a lower score. Much better rack leave than IIU. So that's why it's handy to know those vowel heavy words. It really helps speed up the rack balancing process, because when you leave yourself with IIU, you're really relying on a bit of luck as well to get you out of trouble, whereas that rack does not require luck to strengthen its ability to score. I could easily have picked up an O and an A, and then I'm forced to change, kind of thing. So went with Waif and Fugled for 23, opponent had. Went with Fug. Up for 20, Patui from through the T. Yeah, that's a nice rack leave. 12 points, kind of mediocre, but the rack leave, again, far better than the two eyes. And I went with Up. Now opponent's Val Dry goes with Lend. Religion. Oh, God. I missed a everyday word. So that's the way it works sometimes. I just couldn't see it. Religion. That would have been nice. Sturdy for 28. Opponent went with Rosie for 26. Now Chin for 12. Cheese for 13. It's interesting how the analyzer just looks at score and rack leave to calculate the equity, but playing cheese really does limit the possibility of bingoing next turn by taking out this very useful S. So that's the difference between the analyzer and, having an actual board position analysis. So Chin, in my opinion, still heaps better than cheese, because I'm looking to bingo next turn and I don't want to rely on bingoing from 14E or 15A. I want to have maximum opportunity to bingo. So opponents got Reeked for 30, good score. And now Urodele Delauser. Urodele, I did mention 7I. Now that leaves an E right there in the trip lane. And yeah, with the Z unseen, that could really be hit hard. But Delauser, Resolute. That would have been good. Resolute. Yeah, Resolute would have been perfect. It didn't give back any hot spots to opponent. So that would have been the play. Anyway, Delauser comes down. Muon, but opponent had Tom. Where was Tom? Just alongside. But yeah, Muon looks okay, takes out the hotspot as well. Now, pretty ropey rack, but Dap for 28. Where was that? J4. dap there, but again creating really easy score for opponent because almost everything goes after LA, and OP takes an A and an E, so he's almost certain to score 30 plus on his next turn if I play dap. So I didn't like that. It did occur to me mentally, but I just thought go for the positional play that doesn't give back score and frustrates bingo lanes, or actually takes out the M as a bingo lane. Opponent close to the bingo, but just the BCG, not a good combo. He goes with bog for 10. No bingo here. Odd a Weto. I think odd I did consider. I thought I played odd. Oh, maybe that was on the next turn. Yeah, I played wap. Now opponent's got Crokai for 30. It's a nice 5-letter play when you don't have an E on your rack and you just need to get rid of the C's. That was quite Cirky, also good. He goes with Ekru for 16. Now I played Ord. And it was also a bit of board control at that point because the blank was unseen and a bingo from G would have just sunk me. Opponent goes with Orc on this rack. And I draw the blank, which was fantastic. I spotted the 4-timer. It was one of 3, actually. One of 3 options: osmiate, osmates, and osteoma. So that one comes down, and now opponent Val Dry, Tilth. 26, he went with nth, which preserved his one and only Val. That actually seems like a good option. Now, look at this. Romanza. Wow, I've never seen that word before. I wonder if it's got anything to do with romance. Well, that's a good way to remember it anyway. Romanza for 40 points at 10i. Romanza. Now, although that looks like a good play, it would have emptied the bag. Wow, that could have been a really interesting endgame. Play Romanza, emptying the bag, giving your opponent an opportunity to score not only a bingo but a 9-timer against you. But let's say, for argument's sake, it wasn't a 9-timer but just a bingo. So Romanza 40, that gives me 416. If he gets a 90-point bingo and with count back, mind you, he's not going to get a 90-point bingo unless it's a 9-timer. It'll be over 100. But a regular bingo with 1-point tiles in the trip lane, you're looking at about 80, mid-80s. So, yeah, I don't know. Romanza might have been the play. But I was thinking, don't empty the bag. Limit the bingo lane possibility, the possibility of playing a bingo for my opponent. That's why I played AA here. And I still like the move. I still like it. Laertes. Just wondering if opponent would have had Laertes. Because I think Laertes is the only bingo. He wouldn't have had it anyway. But he had a bingo on his rack, and the idea was to limit the possibilities. So I think the concept was still applicable in that scenario. Opponent goes with AI to have one last shot at bingoing. Orzo. Orzo, no, definitely not going to do that, because Orzo takes an S. And opponent was on the verge of bingoing anyway. So what did I do? I played Tiz, yeah, because I thought if opponent's got a bingo beginning with an S and O does take an S, then he'll play it down there, so the Z would have made it much harder. And that was my thinking. No bingos playable. Opponent plays Alt. I go with no for 18, which was the highest score, and then opponent goes out with sight. So that was the end of the game. An interesting one, quite close at the end there in terms of what could have happened. And yeah, I like those games where you really have to think out the last couple of racks and look at what your opponent's possibilities are. One or two misses as usual, but pretty good game. Hope you enjoyed watching that one, and I will see you next time.